doing extended interviews with some of our beloved Cityline faces in a show that we are calling Be My Guest Expert. It's a chance for our audience to get to know the Cityline family more intimately. I love them all, but now it's your opportunity to fall more in love with these folks. So everything from FAQs to TMI, and these are much longer convos than what you're used to on the show. Usually we have like a 6-minute limit on the show, so I guarantee there will be TMI. So please subscribe. Let us know in the comments who you want me to chat with next. Our very first guest is Chef Randy Feltis, and I'm so excited you're here with me today, Chef, because we go back, like we go way back when we really think about it.
We've been grinding it out for a long time. Yes.
So let's talk about this actually.
Okay.
When was your first, like how long have you been on the show for?
So I think it's like 14, how long have you been doing the show?
15 years.
So just shortly after, I got a call from Frank Ferragini. They had a chef cancel last minute.
Yeah.
He said, will you be here Monday morning? I was like, bright and early, no problem.
Really?
I did a pulled pork pizza. And one of the floor managers here, Dustin, it was his first day.
Yeah.
He reminds me of this all the time because he's like, I remember that pulled pork pizza, and you did a strawberry pizza, which sounds gross, but it was delicious.
Yeah, it does sound gross.
And then I said, hey.
But I bet it was good.
It looked so good that Dustin was like, can I have a piece? I'm like, sure, man.
Yeah.
So he's eating it, and then the supervisor came over and got all upset. He's like, I almost lost my job your first day. It's his first day. And
oh my gosh, I love it. So I remember you coming in. First of all, how'd you know Frankie?
So Frankie's a customer at the restaurant. And kind of a berry boy, and so we'd hang out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a testament also to the fact that the Cityline folks, it is a bit of a family. He's like actively recruiting and scouting on our behalf, and he brought in a winner. Like you've been good ever since that first day.
Thanks.
And you came in with a little hairband. Do you remember you used to have the hairband?
Well, I called it a man band.
I love the man band.
It was cool.
Why did you get rid of the man band? You still have all that hair.
I think I turned 35 or something.
You have to get rid of it.
At a certain age, it's like, you know, you gotta let that go.
Gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You've been awesome from the beginning, and the one thing I will say about you, Chef Randy Feltis, is that you always seem like you just kind of don't give a crap. Like, is that true? No, and I mean this in the most, I mean this as a compliment, because I think that you get to a point in your career or whatever you're doing, and it's when you start to not care that you can really start to deliver. It's almost like all of the time you've spent honing your craft as a chef, you know it so intimately that you can just throw out the rule book and be like, let's just roll with this. So is that true? Do you really don't give a crap? Or is that just the appearance that you give off? Because some people are good at hiding their nervousness. I've never seen you nervous.
It depends on the day. I get nervous every time.
Do you?
Every time. But I think Frankie told me before that day, he's like, here's the key.
Yeah.
Be prepared, know what you're talking about, and then don't give a crap.
Oh, he told you
He's like, the less
that.
you care, the better you'll be.
Yes.
Because it's just like, be free. It's just television.
That's
no one's going to get hurt.
No.
You know, it's fine.
It's a strawberry pizza.
If you burn the pizza, it just makes better TV.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So know your thing and do it that way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, once you're prepared and you've done it a few thousand times as a cook, then you're like, oh, I'm just going to have fun with this.
Yeah.
Then it's easier. But the nerves are there. I just like, I swallow them, Trace.
Okay.
I bury them.
Do you find it more nerve-wracking with a live audience or without? Like, do you like the audience?
Oh. Yeah, because we lost it for a while there.
We did.
I kind of like the audience because I feel like they bring the energy up.
Yeah. Okay.
You?
Fair enough. I like the audience. When we didn't have an audience for a while, I was like, okay, this is less of an energy investment, which is kind of also good. But when the audience is here and they're on point and they're like losing their minds, there's no comparison.
Yeah, it's good.
There's no comparison.
Like when you rip open that burrata and they're like, oh, look at that cheese.
They're drooling a little bit. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love when people come in here and they feel like they're in their living room. You've been like that from day one.
Oh, thank you.
Like you got your feet on the sofa, you got your shoes off.
Yeah.
Maybe you're wearing a shirt, maybe you're not. You're super comfortable.
We haven't gone that far yet.
We haven't gotten that far. Well, we did actually shoot tape with you in Australia. You were shirtless.
Oh, yeah, we did do that. That wetsuit was tight. It took me a long time to get that thing off.
That was very good. Okay, so through the years, because we've been together for so long, we've seen each other go through certain things. So if it's 14 years ago, you probably saw me pregnant with my second kid.
Yes.
You were probably here for that.
Yes, you were beautiful.
And my kid is about the same age as your first child. Cash and Eva are about the same.
Yep.
And they've been on studio together. They get along really well.
Yep.
But also things have changed throughout the years. So you were married, then you were not. The reason why I get into that is because there is a wedding coming up this week. I don't even know how you made time for us. You're like the coolest, calmest groom ever.
This was a nice vacation out. I was like, Wednesday, I gotta go early, and I'll be gone the whole day, because things are crazy.
What's going on at home right now?
Oh, there's the bee spray guy, there's the florist is coming, there's the porta potty guy, there's like the landscaper, the power washer, the painter. It's a madhouse. Because
the wedding is gonna be at your house.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet you thought that'd be easier.
I don't know what I thought, but now I know that it's not easier to do at home.
Because you're welcoming all these people into your house, into your yard, which I'm very excited about. I will be there with bells on. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be good.
But I remember not enjoying, even for a second, planning my wedding. Like, it's just, there's so many details, and it's a very big party.
So Catherine took it as an invitation to do a bunch of stuff at the house that needed to be done?
Yes.
And I kind of fell into this trap of I've catered at every venue in our city.
Yeah.
And so it feels used to me. And maybe I didn't have great memories at that catering because something didn't go right.
Yeah.
And I've just worked too many of them, and I was like, oh, that one, their kitchen sucks. That one, this sucks. That one, this sucks. I was like, no, we should do it at home. And Catherine was like, we're doing it at home.
Okay.
And then she called the painter, and she called this, and she called that. And like every blade of grass is like being measured today and made sure it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's a good excuse to get stuff done at home if you're having people over. That humiliation factor will make sure your house is on point.
True.
Right?
Very true.
But let's go back a bit. So before Catherine, before Livy, before this fantastic, beautiful life that we've been celebrating so much on Cityline, there was another marriage.
There was, yeah.
When it ended, I know that was a tough time for you.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about what you were feeling, what you were going through at the time.
You know,
I got to figure out how to get comfortable on this chair. You keep going.
Okay.
I'm just going to move around.
So, you know, it's always tough, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in this thing and the deal is forever.
Yeah.
And so my parents were, like, I came from a family that was like really tight like that.
Yeah.
And so you try so hard. Mm-hmm. And then when it goes, you're like, meh, you know, and it's definitely a lower point.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say this, you don't ever want to make yourself a victim of something. Like, I was a firm believer of you put your pants on, put a smile on your face, and go make better things happen.
Yeah.
Right? And the moment you do that, everything gets brighter, everything gets better.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward a little bit later, and now I've got a new marriage coming up, got a baby girl, and I can't imagine, like, life is just so crazy, and it can be so positive if you put a smile on your face.
Did you have to, how long were the bad times for? Because I imagine you had to go through them. You can't go around them. There's no way to avoid it. It's uncomfortable. You've known this person for a long time. You love them. So getting through that, what was that process like? Like, was that a year? Was that a couple of years?
We struggled for a couple of years, right? And so that was hard. And then, you know, it comes to the point where you're just kind of like, okay, how much work is this? And you're saying you have to go through it. So then when it fell apart, it was honestly like maybe 4 days on the couch. And then it was like, I said to myself, I was like, you know what, this isn't happening to you, this is happening for you. And it's like, it's hitting that switch. Maybe you quit smoking cigarettes. It's that same switch. It's just like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm boop, and then you go.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, I have a lot of friends going through the same thing right now.
Yeah.
And they think that everyone really cares about what they're going through. And we'll listen, and I'm a good listener. I'm like, oh, that sucks, and oh, she did that, or he did that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, nobody cares.
Yeah.
You have to figure out for yourself what's right and what's wrong. And the moment that you can pick yourself up and run through life again, everything will get better.
That's good.
That was deep, wasn't it?
That was deep.
Yeah.
That was very deep. And I think a lot of people have a hard time turning that switch. So it's, you know, a Jedi mind trick in there for sure. And then it's also sort of squaring yourself away with the grief that comes with it, because there is grief, because you envisioned your life going a certain way and now you've got to pivot, you've got to redirect, you've got to feel sad about, okay, that's not going to happen.
Sure.
And then put yourself together again so that you are open to find this new, beautiful thing, right?
We need the lows in life to appreciate the
lows.
highs.
I agree, 100%. So let's talk about the highs.
Okay.
How did, we've talked about you and Catherine on the show before.
Yes.
And how you met. So just refresh our memories for the audience or the viewers that are
it's on TikTok
right
too.
now. It's on TikTok too. Just go to his TikTok, man.
Yeah,
like you don't need to see it here.
It's all good.
No, but you knew each other and then you met each other again later in life. So you worked together?
I'll go into more detail. I'll give you some crazy tips. We'll spill some tea.
Let's spill some tea.
Okay, so Catherine and I met at Oscar's, my first restaurant.
Okay.
She was a bartender. I was the chef.
Yeah.
And the owner. Maybe I shouldn't have been dating the bartender. But
did you hire her because she was cute, Randy?
No,
you can tell
I
me.
was not in charge of hiring, but my best mate was, and he definitely did.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we started dating, and right away, like I'm like head over heels. I'm like, this woman is like fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And she had recently broke up with her boyfriend, and she had paid for an all-inclusive trip to go on it was a wedding. It was a destination wedding.
Yeah.
And it was coming up, and I was like, I'm very uncomfortable because the boyfriend's there, and I was like, I know myself.
She was going with him, and they had broken up.
Their friends, and it was a wedding, and so I'm like, I'm very uncomfortable with this. I know myself. I'm not good with this. And she said, you know, I've already paid for it. It was $1,000, and you know, I gotta go. And I was like, that's not a problem. And I gave her an envelope with $1,000. And I said,
your money back.
Now you don't have to go. Just kind of called her bluff, right?
Yeah.
And then she was really right down to the last minute, and then one of her friends basically picked her up, and she wasn't going, and one of her friends picked her up and took her to the airport, and they did the trip, and you know what? Things kind of went sour from that point on.
You weren't happy with that?
You know what? I think she was very young at the time and maybe a little immature, and I was a little bit older, and the age gap really made a big difference there. I think I was looking for something that she wasn't.
Got it.
Fair?
Got it. Yes, that's fair. You're just in different places, right?
Exactly.
Nobody's fault. You're in different places.
There you go.
So you let that go on your trip, have a great life, and you move on with your life.
Correct.
You went on to get married.
Correct.
And have cash. Now, how do you meet her again?
So we're always kind of in the same circles. I actually, we purchased a triplex from her. She's a real estate agent.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's always been weird. Whenever we see each other out, we're kind of like, hey, you know what I mean?
We dated.
We dated.
We dated.
But so, you know, and then one day she lived actually just a block away.
Okay.
And
you stayed close.
I guess so. Just the magnets in the world, I guess. Right. I don't know. So she slid into my DMs.
This was after?
This is after. This is like 13 years later.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
And so what, had she heard that you're no longer in a marriage?
She heard because we're kind of in the same circle, and she had recently come out of her marriage at the exact same time, and she asked me for a ride to her mechanics because we shared a mechanic.
Okay.
So I picked her up and took her for a ride.
And was that the beginning of the relationship?
That was it, yeah.
That was it. So you reconnected. Did she tell you, did she ever confess to you afterwards that she really didn't need a ride to the mechanics? That was just a way to connect with you, or did she really need the ride?
Thing, and I was being an idiot.
Because she's smart.
Yeah, she's smarter than I am. She was hitting me with these DMs. I'm not good with this. I'm like, I don't know. Like, she's like, my car's making weird noises. I'm like, I'd take it to a mechanic.
Too bad.
What do you want me to do? I don't cook. But that was basically the hook. And yes, it was a hook. And then from that point on, it was so intense, and it was just so overwhelmingly like we were meant to be together.
That is so good. I remember you telling me about her when you were all still in the dating phase, and you're like, she's in my neighborhood, and I really like her, and she really likes me, and I was like, this sounds good.
It's like the families align, our backgrounds kind of align, and most importantly, the food and beverage program align.
So let's talk about that. Okay, so she was bartender, and you were the restaurant owner. She went off into real estate.
Yes.
Her entrance back into the world of food, was that with you? Oh. Or had she already gone back into that world in some way before Catherine wants?
No, she just, you know what, her family traveled a lot, and so her grandmother traveled a lot. She traveled a lot with her grandmother, and they ate. Her mother like cooks well. Her grandmother cooks really well. They like artichokes. They like chicken liver pate. They like stuff that, you know, she would say like kids would not want to come over to her house for dinner because they get weird food.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like
real
food.
Real food.
Real food.
They got real food. Yeah. Okay. So she's always been into it.
Yes.
So you get together.
Yep.
Things are going swimmingly. How do we get to now the TikTok sensation? Randy, Catherine wants. Like, how does that whole thing develop? Because as you said, you didn't even know how to deal with your DMs. You're like a TikTok star. You're an Instagram star. You've got a whole digital thing.
It just really took a life of its own.
Right?
And from the weirdest beginnings, it's like, when people say just post it, I tell people this, like just post it. Because you don't know what's going to happen. It could change your life.
You believe in that?
It was another guest expert, Shona Jensen, told me that.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, when you think about it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't post this. I'm nervous about
post it.
Who cares? Post it.
Yeah.
So we were just posting Instagram stories of just our celebrating being together.
Yeah.
And we're like celebrating with champagne and we're eating crab and we're just like, this is like every night's a lot of fun. And everyone kept asking for recipes.
Yeah.
So it was a great idea that's like, hey, we should try a YouTube channel. We'll write the recipes because we're going to write them anyways because people are asking. We'll brand it and we'll push it out there.
Yeah.
So that went fairly well. We were doing like these 5-minute videos and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
But they weren't getting a lot of traction. And then a friend of ours said, you have to be on TikTok.
Okay.
And I was like,
what year would have this been, do you think?
Just before the pandemic.
Okay.
Just before.
Yeah.
And so we got a TikTok account and we did a few TikToks and there's one video of Catherine opening a crab leg.
Yeah.
And it got like, I don't know, 2 or 3 million views.
Do you understand that?
I do now. I
what
didn't
was
then.
it? Like, I don't understand why things go viral. Like, why was it the crab leg? What was it?
Because you got to hook their attention in the first 3 seconds. And she basically had it there's a beautiful girl holding a giant crab leg.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
That is exciting.
And then she's like, you don't need a tool to open up a crab leg. And then she proceeds to use a fork. So the number one comment's like, you used a tool, it's a fork. It's like, you know,
yeah, but everyone's got that tool. It's not a special tool.
But you kind of need a little bit of conflict there because then people want to post like, no, that's a tool. And other people want to say, well, no, it's not a tool, it's a utensil. And then that builds it, you know, you want to spark conversation.
So you're good with like the dissenters. You're good with people saying, well, I don't like that, as long as they repost it and remix it and like do a duet with it.
Listen, like we get beat up sometimes and that's okay.
What?
I say
liver?
I say shallot. is a small onion is a shallot.
How dare you?
And I guess Americans or people think it's a shallot, which is fine. I don't know.
Potato.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think I'm right, but I'm not going to change just because 2,000 people said I was wrong. It's gone
the other
far.
million are on your side, so who cares? But that kind of thing gets interest, doesn't it?
It does. Yes.
It gets people talking, right? True. Is it shallot or is it shallot? I would never say shallot.
No,
come on,
it's shallot. That sounds way better.
Okay, so you decide you start doing the TikTok. You start putting. Did it take a while before you got the format that you have now? Because it's basically really good fast cuts.
Yes.
It's a bit of ASMR.
Yes.
It's a Randy voiceover.
Yes.
It starts with Catherine, what Catherine wants. Has it grown into that, or did it start like that from the moment you started doing the TikToks?
It's obviously gotten better.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's very good. The lighting, we worked on lighting. We buy better equipment now. You know, we try to shoot outdoors because the lighting's better. And then the voiceovers, sometimes they're easier, sometimes they're more difficult.
Okay.
But it's essentially what it was in the beginning.
Okay.
And when I explained it to people, they're like, well, what is it? And I'm like, well, Catherine wants something, and I make it, and then she eats it, and she goes, yum.
Yes.
Unless she doesn't, and then she goes, this is gross, and then it gets even more views.
It really does, because I was with her with the liver and onions. I was so, I was so brought in for the process of creating it, and then, because I like the way, I don't like to cook, you know this, but I like to watch you cook. And I like to watch a lot of people cook. And I like to eat, but I just never want to do it. So I was really drawn into the process. And then at the end when she ate it and she said no, I was like, I'm really on your side again, Catherine. Like I am often on her side with the recipes. She very rarely doesn't like it, but usually when she does, I don't like it either. Like I can't get on board with liver and onions. So I understand why people would like that, because then they know she's being honest.
Well, and food, we all have it in common.
Yeah.
Right? And we do have to push our boundaries. I don't like tinned fish.
Oh, you
unless
don't?
It's like,
no sardines, no mackerel?
No, Spanish stuff is fantastic, but like the dollar tuna stuff,
salmon,
not doing
tuna.
it. If it's a $30 tin, I'm down.
Okay. Yeah.
But a 99-cent tin of salmon, I'm going to give that to my dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
we all got our things.
We got our things.
We got
right?
our things.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get this down to a science, and your Catherine wants, and your following has like gone through the roof.
Yes.
Where are you at now in terms of the numbers?
Like, we're over 700 on TikTok and like 120 on Insta.
That's amazing.
That's good.
Do you find, for a guy who, and I quote, doesn't give a crap, do you find it is difficult sometimes to feed the machine?
Oh.
Because I find it's hard to have one foot in social media.
Yes.
It's almost like my husband describes it as you have to be careful and make sure the dog is wagging the tail and the tail isn't wagging the dog.
I love that.
And I understand what he's saying, because once you get in, you're like, I'm in the machine. I got to feed the beast. The beast needs to be fed. And then there's all these gurus online that are saying, oh, you need to post 6 videos a day.
Oh my Lord.
You need to post every 2 hours, you need to post a video. So how do you navigate that?
We just do what we can.
Yeah.
But we have been up and down that roller coaster of emotions. It's like we have an agent, and our agent basically tells us what we have to execute for the week.
Okay.
And then we try to plan out 2 or 3 shoot days, and we shoot multiple videos per shoot date.
Got it.
We try to release 3 to 4 videos a week.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And it's really, really hard to be that fun and that creative.
Yeah.
It's like, you get a good one, you're like, oh, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how can I top that?
Right.
It's like, what am I possibly going to do here?
Yeah. And do you get into this this headspace where you're just like, just sit down and do it? Like, just post it? It doesn't matter if it's better than the last one. Just get it done?
We've actually gone a little further than that, and we're like, we'll try to shoot some garbage.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll just shoot really simple, something really so we can just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, we'll call it a quickie.
Yes.
Serves the same purpose, right?
Yeah.
And just do it. And sometimes they go better than the other ones. And then you're like, now I'm really confused.
I don't know what these people want.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's that constant struggle of trying to be like perfect at it, and then just like banging it out.
For a dude that keeps sort of like failing upward, you're not even failing upward, you just keep doing bigger and better. Do you have a plan?
Oh, not really.
No?
My plan was to come here today.
And then on Saturday, I'm going to get married.
I'm going to get married on Saturday.
You don't have like a master plan for where this is all going? I mean, you've had billboards up at Dundas Square, you've got tons of brand deals, you've got tons of followers, but is there an end goal? Like, for me, the end goal is essentially like sitting on an island eating mangoes, like not doing anything. But do you have an end goal?
I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we kind of just go along and we said no more restaurants, and then we opened another restaurant.
You did.
Yes. And then
we did
do that, right? And then we're like, but then the restaurant's so hard. Like, it's difficult to do, and we're like, social media is way easier.
Yeah.
But then you dive into that, you're like, there's nothing that's easy. Everything that you get into and you want to drive 1,000% at, it's going to wear you down.
Totally.
So I think the end goal is to take one day at a time and just try not to let anything run you over.
That's fair. And you're just gonna keep going for as long as you're still having fun-ish?
Yeah.
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 And when it gets to be too laborious, do you think that, could you see yourself getting out, or do you just feel like it's too much of an easy ride?
Huh. I haven't thought about that. Like, it's been 3 years on the TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's felt like a month. Like, it's just like
good,
this,
Randy.
right?
Yeah, that's good. Keep going then.
Yeah, keep it going.
Now, can we talk about Livy a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
How is she?
She's perfect.
She's perfect, isn't
Like,
she?
every
How
way.
old?
She just turned 2.
And does she sleep?
So well.
And what kind of parent are you?
Oh, I'm the backseat parent for sure.
Okay, so are you the dad that's gonna let her get on a bike and ride the bike down a slide?
And she does.
And she would.
She's at the playground on the big girl slide. She climbs up there, and I barely watch her. I make sure she doesn't fall, but she's just right back down. where Catherine's there waiting. I'm like, no, let her fall off the end of the slide. Like, she put herself in this position.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But Catherine is like, she's on it. She loves it. She's a fantastic mother.
Yeah.
It's her first time around. It's my second time around.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, like, you really wanted this baby. Like, you know, you can change the diapers.
Yeah.
And I say that, but at the same time, I don't mind changing diapers. I changed 90% of the first time around.
Yeah.
But Catherine loves it.
She wants to do it.
Like, I'll be holding Livy and you'll smell something come out and she's grabbing her and running her to the back. I was like, this is awesome.
She's loving it, huh?
She is, yeah.
That's amazing. I feel like also the second time around, there's a nice gap between Cash and Livy.
Yes.
And getting to do it like that, where you have sort of an older kid that's a little bit more independent, and you can focus on the baby a little bit more, and I feel like that would be a little bit less stressful.
I think you have 2 children.
Mm-hmm. But they're like 2.5 years apart.
Okay, but was it not easier the second time around?
Yes.
You weren't freaking out, oh, the temperature's up, okay, we'll give her some time. We don't need to rush them to the hospital.
Even to this day, like, she, you know, she's gonna be fine. Like, she'll figure it out. So it is easier the second time around. Yeah. I think, anyways.
I think so.
Yeah.
Especially when I don't have to do the diapers.
You don't have to do the diapers. And those days are gonna be over soon.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And then it just gets easier, right?
It does. You know, they say bigger kids, bigger problems, but I like them better at this age. I've always liked my kids. I don't want to put that out there. But the baby phase, when they're so dependent, is not as fun to me as when they're a little bit older and they can have senses of humor and they can communicate and they can let you know how they're feeling so that you can at least start with the issue and figure it out along the way. Mm-hmm. So I do think it does get easier.
Yeah, like Cash likes going to batting cages. That's fun.
Love it.
That's like, you know.
No, you can play with him now like he's a buddy.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
We go get milkshakes and cheeseburgers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Life is good.
So, speaking of life being good, is there anything that you think people misunderstand about you, if you even care? Like, is there anything that you think people misread about you or misunderstand about you, whether online or on the show?
Oh.
Or anything about you that you would want people to know that they wouldn't know about you? You seem pretty transparent to me, but...
Yeah, I think I have a really big fault of honesty, and it gets me in a lot of trouble. Like, I don't have a filter, and I swear a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm actually surprised I haven't sworn on Cityline.
I am shocked.
That's a lot of segments not to drop an F-bomb. It's crazy. Because in the kitchen, it comes out all the time.
Yeah.
So you mix that with honesty, and people do get offended.
Got it.
Right? Because I just don't F around. It's like, this is the way I feel, and that's the way it's going to go, and here it is. But it's always from a very honest, true, way.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you feel like that's just part of chef life?
I feel like it takes a certain individual to rise up in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And you have to be, number one, an extremely great cook, which is hard enough. But then you actually have to be well-spoken, and you have to be a leader, and you have to tell people where to go and delegate and how to do that. And then you have to be able to go out front and talk to the clients as well. So you need to be a little intimidating.
Right.
And I do think that sometimes people are a little intimidated.
Yeah.
But I'm a really soft guy inside, and I cry sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
What makes you cry?
Oh, like emotional stuff, like the wedding.
Will you be crying?
I'll be a mess. Be a mess. It's gonna be terrible.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Just let yourself do that. I will cry too, but I cry at every wedding.
You?
It's the love of it all.
You want to have a race?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. Sometimes it's just actually as soon as the bride starts walking down, and it's like, oh, I can't control it.
I'll be a mess. I'll be done.
It's over. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so lovely.
Exciting.
I know that you're a good person, and I know that you're a softie. That's actually the only side I've ever seen from you. I don't see F-bomb Randy ever, but fun. I will say this, even the sweetest chefs on our show, you, Jason Parsons, Massimo, I wouldn't call Massimo sweet, but
he's a teddy bear.
But he can be, but I wouldn't call him sweet. Like, he'll tell you what he's thinking, whatever. Whenever you guys, Chef Dev, when you guys get in the kitchen, you're jerks, and you have to be.
Oh.
You have to be. Like, the kitchen personality of chefs is very different than what we see on Cityline. I respect it. I understand. Like, people can, combust into flames if you're not on top of it, right? You have to be a quick communicator. You got to get the word out quickly. You have to delegate, as you said, and then you have to be nice, you know, in front of house. So it's a lot.
It's a pressure.
There's no time for pleasantries, kind of like television.
No, and it's pressure driven. It's a dangerous place. Everyone needs to be doing their thing at the right time together. It's like a fine-tuned ballet of emotions, fire and heat, and mix in some front of house, like a little bit of that, and oh wow. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
I feel ya. Listen, it has been so good talking to you. We never get to talk like this.
This was nice.
So did you feel good about it, or did you feel like you needed a steak to be chopping at the same time?
I was gonna bring out some parsley or something I could pick through. You know what I mean? Maybe clean some garlic. We could talk about that. But I think we did okay. What do you think?
I think we did great.
Awesome.
I learned about you, and that's all that we care about. We want folks to learn more about you because you're a lovely person, and I cannot wait to see where your story goes next. The sky is literally the limit for you and Catherine. I'm very excited to see you all make it official on the weekend. It's so lovely.
Thank you.
All right, so as I mentioned to everyone watching this, subscribe and also boss me around. Tell me who you want me to interview next, and we will have them here on the Be My Guest Expert show. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
That was great.
I think that was really good.
That was really good. Was there